This is a story about love, about the beautiful, messy, complicated, crazy thing we call love. A love that can make you laugh and cry, dream and hope, hurt and heal. Most importantly, a love that can bring two people together in the most unexpected ways. This is the story of Sarah and Sophie. Sarah, an aspiring writer with a heart full of dreams and a head full of stories, had always believed that love came quietly, like the soft unfolding of petals on a spring morning. She had seen it in the movies, how love just happened, a chance encounter, a shared smile, and suddenly two people were inexplicably drawn to each other. But for Sarah, life had been a different story. Love had not found her. Instead, she had loved from afar, crushing over boys she barely knew, pouring her affection into daydreams that never had a chance of coming true. Then there was Sophie, a painter with a soul as vibrant as her canvases, carried her love like fire, bold and bright. She wasn't afraid to let her feelings be known, to speak her mind or to chase after what she wanted. While Sarah hesitated, Sophie took risks, believing that love, like life, was meant to be lived to the fullest. Their paths crossed on a rainy evening in the city. Sarah, clutching a battered copy of Pride and Prejudice, hurried down the sidewalk. Her old umbrella, a hand-me-down from her grandmother, suddenly gave way with a sharp crack. Startled, she watched as the colorful fabric ripped in the wind, scattering around her. Disappointed and soaked, she sat down on a nearby bench, hugging the useless remnant of the umbrella close. Suddenly, a burst of laughter broke through the rain. Turning, she saw a girl with bright red hair struggling to share an umbrella with her two dogs. The girl, noticing Sarah's drenched figure, called out, "Hey, come here. You can share my umbrella." Hesitantly, Sarah joined her, surprised by the girl's easy confidence. "Thanks," she said, smiling sheepishly. "I didn't mean to get soaked. My umbrella just gave up on me." The girl, whose name was Sophie, winked. "Don't worry, it happens to the best of us. And besides," she added, gesturing to the small cafe across the street, "we can dry off and get some coffee." Sarah, feeling a blush creep up her cheeks, couldn't help but smile back. "That sounds great." As they huddled over steaming cups of coffee, the rain drumming a steady rhythm against the windows, Sarah found herself drawn to Sophie's infectious energy. Sophie, in turn, was intrigued by Sarah's quiet strength and the gentle kindness that radiated from her. They talked for hours, discovering shared interests and dreams, and by the time the cafe closed, the rain had stopped and so had their conversation. With Sophie walking home, both girls realized that their meeting under a shared umbrella wasn't just a coincidence. It was the start of something new, something exciting. And as the days turned into weeks, their bond grew stronger. They explored the city together, hand in hand, sharing secrets, dreams, and fears. Sarah found herself laughing more, living more fully than she ever had before. And Sophie, who had never met anyone like Sarah, began to understand the quiet strength of love that didn't need to shout to be heard. One day, as they sat on a park bench feeding the ducks, Sophie turned to Sarah. "You know," she said softly, her eyes shining, "I feel like we were meant to meet, like fate brought us together under that stupid umbrella." Sarah blushed, her heart beating faster. "Me too," she whispered, unable to look away from Sophie's smiling face. Weeks flew by like pages in a favorite book, filled with adventures, laughter, and most importantly, love. One evening, Sophie invited Sarah over to her apartment for dinner. As Sarah stood in front of Sophie's door, her heart pounded in her chest. She took a deep breath, reached out and knocked. When Sophie opened the door, her face lighting up with a radiant smile, Sarah knew she had found a home. The apartment was cozy, filled with the scent of spices and the soft glow of candlelight. Sophie, with her infectious energy, bustled around the kitchen while Sarah helped set the table. Music played softly in the background, creating a perfect ambience for what promised to be a wonderful evening. They cooked together, laughing as they tried not to burn the pasta, and by the time they sat down to eat, Sarah felt like she was exactly where she belonged. After dinner, Sophie poured 2 glasses of wine, and they moved to the couch. Conversation flowed easily, but the pauses between words grew longer, heavier with unspoken emotions. Sophie set her glass down and turned to Sarah. "You know," Sophie said softly, "I've been wanting to tell you something for a while." Sarah's heart raced. She swallowed nervously. "What is it?" Instead of answering, Sophie leaned closer. Her hand brushed against Sarah's cheek, tender and uncertain. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. For a moment, The world seemed to stand still, the hum of the city outside, the flicker of candlelight, the quiet music, all of it faded as Sophie's lips finally touched hers. The kiss was gentle at first, like a question. Sarah answered with her own, a soft sigh escaping as she leaned in, her hands finding Sophie's waist. The hesitation melted into warmth, into something deeper. The kiss grew passionate, filled with the emotions they had kept hidden for too long. When they finally pulled apart, breathless, Sophie smiled. "I guess I didn't really need words after all." Sarah laughed softly, her cheeks flushed. "No, you didn't." They kissed again, slower this time, savoring the sweetness of the moment. Sarah felt as though the world had finally opened, and Sophie was the peace she had been searching for all along. From that night on, their love blossomed openly. They spent mornings wrapped in each other's arms, evenings watching sunsets, and countless moments lost in kisses that spoke louder than any words could. One Sunday afternoon, as they strolled through the park, Sophie pulled Sarah close beneath a tree. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, painting golden patterns on their faces. Without hesitation, Sophie leaned in and kissed her, right there in the middle of the world. Sarah felt no fear, only joy. For Sarah and Sophie, love was no longer a secret, it was a celebration. Each kiss was a reminder of the journey they had taken, from strangers under a broken umbrella to lovers who couldn't imagine life apart. And as they stood hand in hand, lips brushing once more, Sarah knew one thing for certain. Love didn't always come quietly. Sometimes it came with laughter, courage, and a kiss that changed everything. Months went by, each one more cherished than the last. They traveled, they laughed, they cried, they grew, and most importantly, they loved. Sarah, who had once dreamed of love from afar, now held it in her arms, in her heart, in her very being. And Sophie, who had always loved fiercely, found a depth of connection with Sarah that she had never known existed. But life, as it often does, threw them a curveball. Sarah received an offer from a publishing house she had been dreaming of since she was a teenager. It was her chance to shine, to prove herself, but it meant moving to another city, to a different state. Sarah, torn between her dreams and her love, looked at Sophie, seeing the unspoken question in her eyes. "I don't want to go," Sarah whispered, tears threatening to spill. "But this is my dream, Soph. What if this is my chance?" Sophie, ever the firecracker, cupped Sarah's face in her hands. "Your happiness is my dream, remember? Go, chase your stars. I will be here waiting for you, for us." And Sarah, knowing she could never lose Sophie, left with a promise etched in their shared love, a love that had bloomed under a broken umbrella and thrived in the face of challenges, a love that whispered promises of forever. Years later, standing hand in hand as Sarah's book was unveiled, Sophie watched with a proud smile on her face as Sarah basked in the applause. In that moment, Sarah knew she had done both their love and her dreams justice. Later, surrounded by friends and family, Sarah and Sophie danced. The music swelled, the lights twinkled, and their love, like the song in their hearts, echoed through the years. And so their story goes on, a testament to the power of love, the courage to follow dreams, and the magic of a kiss that had the power to change everything.